and this has been moving towards the northeast at about 30-35 miles an hour. So it's moving quite quickly. If you're in the Homewood area, again, that's where 27 and 14 kind of intersect. If you're in that region, you're going to want to get in your safe spot. Looks like this is probably going to be kind of sliding just southwards of about Iowa here. You've got this area that we are monitoring, and again, if we kind of zoom in, take a look at where we're seeing this thing, we're sitting at about 27 here, LA 27. This is still out over through Calcasieu Parish. If you zoom out, kind of give you a reference point. Iowa, you're going to be on the kind of on the northern end of this. I would still take it seriously and monitor it. You are in that warned area, but it looks like it will probably skirt just to the south of you. It will be getting a little bit closer to Homewood. Homewood is located right here, the intersection of 27 and 14. If you live in Bell City, out there in Calcasieu, getting very close to Jefferson Davis Parish, you're going to want to make sure that you seek shelter as well. You've got LA 101 here, and if you live kind of along LA 101 where it intersects with LA 14, if those are sounding like familiar roads that you travel on, then you're going to want to seek shelter there as well. We'll get on to this look and kind of take a look at the storm as a whole. Not going to be able to really see much of it. That circulation more or less is going to be right around here. But if we zoom out, kind of take a look at the line as a whole, this is what we were talking about. You know, most of the activity that we've had has been up over through Avoyelles Parish, and this thing was starting to get on the move. We had warned that as it made its way towards the east a little bit, you still have the chance to run into some of that severe weather, which is what we're seeing right now. All of the dynamics were still in place, and now that this is moving its way towards the east, it is not going to be out of the question to see systems like this kind of developing along the line. It's the only warning we've got. That tornado watch is going to stay up till 6, but the warning is certainly going to be worth it. And if you're just kind of tuning in or just trying to figure out, you know, what we've been talking about, there's a tornado warning that's kind of right here. Iowa is included in it. It stretches out over towards Welsh. You've got rotation that's down on the southern part of this box. This rotation that we're keeping an eye on, that's right here, and it's not a neat couplet. It's not the classic signature, but you can tell just kind of by looking at it that something is going on here. Now, it doesn't look quite as impressive now as it did just a little while ago, but we'll watch it. These things, what they do is they end up kind of cycling through, and they'll wind down, and then they'll kind of wind back up again. Now, regardless of rotation or not, you are getting an awful lot of wind here, very, very strong wind signatures, and this is coming up on LA 27. So you've got LA 27 here. It intersects with LA 14. That's going to be the neighborhood of Homewood. If you live in Homewood, you're going to want to get in your safe space. If you live in Bell City, or if you live along LA 14 between Homewood and Bell City. So if you are recognizing the names of these places, if you're recognizing the roadways, and you'll have an idea of kind of where I'm talking about. And you're going to want to make sure that you get in your safe spot as well, not a system to kind of be messed with. This tornado warning is going to be up for about another 25 minutes, so we're going to stay here and kind of keep a close eye on it. And as it makes its way forward, and kind of as the line moves a little bit and this thing moves its way towards the northeast, it wouldn't be out of the question to see this box actually get expanded up into the area and to see that kind of make its way closer towards Welsh. So if you live in Welsh, then you're going to want to pay attention to this. I think it's going to slide just south about Iowa, hopefully staying south of Highway 90 here, kind of where it is. You're not really going to see it get too far north of 90, not in Calcasieu Parish anyway. This is moving towards the northeast, and it's moving at about 35 miles an hour. So if we kind of extend it out here, kind of gives you an idea. Bell City maybe in the next 10 minutes or so. So it's a fairly rural spot, but there are still some folks who live out there and need to be informed by all of this as well. Looks like a couple maybe starting to tighten up just a tad bit. South of Homewood right now, that circulation is crossing Highway 27, going to be working its way towards LA 14, and that is going to again continue to kind of push its way towards the northeast. Looks like it's going to split Homewood as well as Bell City. Of course, if we work east just a little bit and start taking a look at some of those areas, Foreman's Hall, Verrett, up along LA 101 as it gets through Jefferson Davis and Calcasieu Parish as well. If you kind of live in those areas south of Foreman's Hall, south of Verrett, maybe close to where 101 and 14 intersect, and I want to make sure that you get in your safe place. Starting to modify that warning now. Probably looks like they are dropping the southern portion of it. We'll see if they are extending that at all. Tornado warning going to continue to go until about 5:30, which is coming up here in about 23 minutes or so. But tornadoes on the ground, tornado warnings, we take them seriously here at KATC. We keep an eye on it regardless. So we're going to kind of hang here again. Does look like it's starting to look fairly impressive. You can see it pretty clearly here south of Homewood. So this is going to be now east of LA 27. This is continuing to work its way towards the northeast. So eventually going to get east of Homewood, getting up towards LA 14 there. And getting on over towards Jefferson Davis Parish as well. This is the couplet that we're talking about. So if you are west of 27 right now, that means that the system would have passed out of your area. Looks like it will slide just south of Homewood. If you're in Homewood, I'd kind of hang out a little while longer. You're kind of still in it. Getting another scan here, and that is moving towards the east, and it does look like that's starting to elongate just a bit. So it's still very, very strong winds, and the area that we're talking about, of course, is this little feature right here. Elongating just a little bit, not quite as tight as it was earlier. That's still going to be some very strong wind though as it does kind of slide through. It's skirting just south of Homewood right now. This is going to be getting up to LA 14 fairly quickly, and then continuing to push its way towards the northeast. If we zoom out and take a look at things as a whole, you kind of got Iowa that's up towards the north. Iowa probably going to stay well north of this. We'll see if it holds together as it gets over towards Jefferson Davis Parish, but certainly going to be sliding up through Calcasieu. Very, very heavy winds. And if we just kind of pull up the other radar again, like we mentioned, this was kind of the worry going into today. We've got this line of showers and thunderstorms. You've got some very, very heavy weather that's out there. You've got strong storms that are up over through Avoyelles, that goes on through Evangeline Parish, and then getting out over towards Jefferson Davis, all the way through out over towards Calcasieu. So it's a long line of thunderstorms that we're talking about, and very, very heavy rain. And now that it's moving towards the east a little bit, those areas that are east of it still are in the range for some of that severe weather. So we had stayed fairly quiet through Acadiana through most of the morning, but we always had that chance, since those dynamics are still in place. A little bit of stable air here, which has kind of helped, but you never know kind of which part of the line, which part of the storm is going to overcome that stability. We call it the marine layer, and you never quite know when those dynamics are going to overcome it. And so what we're seeing right now out through Calcasieu, getting out over through Cameron, is a system that has kind of overcome those dynamics. And the area that we've been talking about has been there south of Iowa right now, and that's going to be coming up towards LA 14 here fairly shortly. So this is 27 right here. This is 14. This is west of Bell City. Homewood neighborhood is right here. Bon Air is going to be well to the north. But if you live in between Homewood and Bell City up along LA 14, if there's houses out there, there's camps out there, then you're going to want to make sure that you get in your safe place. This is the feature that we are talking about right here. Little couplet. It's not the classic looking tornado, but it does stand out. And kind of regardless of rotation or not, you are talking some very, very heavy wind here, moving its way towards the northeast, eventually going to be getting close to LA 101 if it does indeed hold together. And the problem with lines like this and storms like this is you see things kind of flare up, and they arrive very very quickly, and they get going quickly, they dissipate quickly, and then they get going again. So you got to kind of monitor it, and that's why we're sticking with it. There's no point in jumping off, because it could easily ramp back up again as it gets a little bit further towards the northwest. So this does kind of stretch from Calcasieu Parish on into Jefferson Davis. It's not the only storm that we've got out there either. We got a lot of storms across the area. We have had flash flood warnings as well, and we can take a look at some of those currently, and those have kind of been hugging back behind where that line is, and you can clearly see where we've had a lot of those showers, a lot of those thunderstorms kind of as we've gone through the day today. This whole area back behind it has the flash flood warning. Going to end up with maybe some roadways that are struggling to drain a little bit, and so those are going to be areas you could end up seeing a little bit of flooding. I would avoid them if you can, and that does include a couple major roadways as well, which we can talk about here as we zoom in on Evangeline Parish. That's 167 that runs up over through Turkey Creek. If you are between Turkey Creek and Ville Platte, you're gonna have some problems there kind of traveling along 167. A lot of water through there. Same out along 165. Getting between about Oberlin and Kinder. There's going to be some flooding issues as you get out through there, and then down out over towards other portions of Lake Charles, where the rainfall's starting to come to an end. And once the line passes, that severe weather threat's going to diminish a decent amount, which is good news there. And that will be the kind of the same thing for us as well. You've got kind of diminishing severe weather criteria out through this region, but for us, we're still kind of keeping an eye on it. And the reason why I'm on here talking as much as I am is we were kind of going through temperatures and talking about the day ahead. Ended up getting a tornado warning, which is going to be up until about 5:30, and it does cross over into Jefferson Davis. So we're looking at the velocity right now. Doesn't actually look near as impressive as it did. I think that if we're seeing anything, it's probably going to be this feature here, that feature that is south of about Iowa. So this little guy right here, it's a lot more elongated right now. That's good. We hopefully will kind of see things winding down. So I don't know how the producers feel, but we can probably move on, and I can keep an eye on this right now, and I can kind of buy a little bit of time. But if someone could jump in my ear and kind of tell me what the plan is to move on from this, we'll keep an eye on it. But it is looking a little bit better here, and that couplet is not nearly quite as strong. So one more time, tornado warning that's going to be up. This is the area that we're kind of keeping an eye on. It does kind of look like it's fizzling out a little bit. I'm going to continue to kind of keep a very close eye on it, and if I see it start flaring up again, then I'll wave everyone down. But I think in the meantime we could probably go on with some of the news. So I'll toss it back to the anchors. But again, I'll continue to watch this, and if I see something concerning, then we'll jump back on, and I'll flag everyone down. So not stepping away from the radar, but I think I'll throw it back to Katie and Dave.
All right, thanks, Daniel. Well, I'm grateful to be